Hey everybody, this is Safi and Marco, dished out on movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here to talk about It Chapter 2. Spoilers! And I just got done destroying Birds of Prey. And so now I'm gonna review another clown movie, but at least they actually do a good job of interpreting the characters as they were written in the book that they are basing the movie off of. So, now everyone's on the hunt for their token. This second act is insanely repetitive. Person goes to place, person has flashback, person fights off monster and gets token. Person leaves after having faced their fears. And that's it. First off, I want to get the little girl death out of the way. We have an interesting set piece, a kid's baseball game in the bleachers where the audience is. Playing off the mean adults in the first It, we see this little girl from earlier in the movie get scolded by her mom for being bored. Then a firefly comes and she tries to catch it. She chases the firefly down underneath the bleachers while her mom ignores her. This leads to one of my favorite shots in this movie. One of my favorite shots this year, too. A pair of white gloved hands clap and appear in front of her in the darkness. Then Pennywise pops his head forward. They have a conversation, and she actually does the smart thing and starts to leave, saying he looks scary. He manipulates her into thinking he can get rid of her face tattoo, or whatever it's called on her face. It looks like a tattoo she got at the carnival. So she's smart enough to want to leave, but not smart enough to know her face tattoo can't get removed via magic. This is kind of weird. This begins an eye-rolling jump scare moment. Pennywise counts to 3 before he chomps on this girl. He pauses at 2 and makes a weird face and freezes. She then says he didn't say 3, and he says 3 and chomps at her. Number 1, they literally cut away from the kill and did almost the exact same thing as Tim Curry's Pennywise did when he ate Georgie in the first miniseries. Is this not an R-rated movie? Is this not a sequel to the first movie that showed a kid's arm getting torn off and blood running everywhere in the rain? Number 2, why is it so silent underneath the bleachers? You could have used the chattering from the bleachers to your benefit. It would have been really creepy if we heard the girl screaming, and the adults on the bleachers cheering and talking would have overpowered it. Number 3, once again Pennywise feeds on fear. This little girl is the opposite of afraid. She's excited to have the tattoo removed. Still, Pennywise gives a great performance in the scene. And no matter what I say badly about a lot of the things in this movie, Pennywise did a great job. I was planning on taking a bathroom break during Beverly's sequence, and that's a little trick I do. Whenever there's a trailer or a clip and they show like an extended sequence, like in the first one they had the axe guy that they were discussing what people were afraid of, and they showed the axe guy. Whenever they do that, I take a bathroom break, because that's like the perfect time to do that, because you know exactly what's going to happen. But since it was shown first in the token sequence, I decided to stay and just watch it for fun. Immediately there's this creepy old woman who isn't really creepy. You can tell she's a really nice woman pretending to be creepy. Beverly goes in and retrieves her postcard and poem that she apparently left in a secret wall spot. Another secret spot where someone left something that we never saw in the first one. What's mind-boggling is how Pennywise lets her retrieve it. Then we get in what is my opinion the best kids flashback in the film. Beverly approaches her dad and he berates her about her smell and how it's her fault her mom died. Then he gets up and sprays perfume all over her, and he then hugs her. This scene is creepy and disturbing. The sudden sprays of perfume really caught me off guard. Then in present time, the old woman brings tea and cookies. We get the trailer sequence that was spoiled for us, including Pennywise's origin is basically only in the trailer. It's all shown in the trailer. Then we get a laugh out loud moment when the old lady starts running at running naked at Beverly. She's CGI nude. They can't even have a real old woman be naked. Also, they think someone running at the screen is scary, just like in Chapter 1, when Pennywise would run at you while shaking his arms crazily. I think she hits the woman or runs away. When she's about to leave the apartment, we get the only origin Pennywise kind of scene. This movie really cheated us out of getting Pennywise's origin. Part of the reason I excused the long runtime was because I thought he'd get a proper origin in it. We learned Pennywise came to America with $14 and made his living as a clown, and the old lady is his mother. This information is useless at the moment, so I'm not going to talk about it. It's basically a huge teaser for a cash grab third sequel. Again, Pennywise does a phenomenal job and he doesn't even have any makeup on. He puts makeup on in the sequence, but fantastic job by him. The next token sequence is Ben. The scene starts off promising. Ben is in class by himself and Beverly comes in to sit next to him and smoke. Then she becomes mean and nasty to him, and we as the audience can tell she's Pennywise. Even though Pennywise is dead, by the way, this is after Pennywise is dead. Since the actress who plays Beverly is so good, it really works. But then she turns to a Sleepy Hollow person with CGI fire on her head. She runs at Ben in a very non-threatening manner. He hides in a locker and holds onto the yearbook page Beverly signed to comfort himself. Then it turns out Pennywise is in there with him already in a stupid jump scare. Ben discovers the yearbook page as his token and has it in his wallet. He already had it. This whole sequence is actually my least favorite token scene. Everything seems totally pointless. This should have been cut from the movie. He's held on to this moment. Him and Mike, I think, are the ones who have really held on to these memories the most and remember the most. And so I would have thought out of all the people that he would have known, like in 2 seconds, that he already had the token. And we could have seen that realization in the treehouse or in the forest or wherever, like immediately. Because he has it in his wallet. He knows all about it. He thinks about her a lot. Come on. The next token scene, I believe, is Richie. Richie goes to the movie theater for a very confusing and stupid flashback. Richie plays an arcade game with the kid, and then wants to play more of the game with him on a bet. The kid acts like it's weird to want to play more games, and starts to leave. Then Henry and the bullies come in and harass Richie and call him gay. Richie runs away and leaves the theater. So number one, wanting to continue playing video games for longer than a game isn't gay, and doesn't make you gay. Number two, this kid isn't a normal kid because he doesn't automatically continue playing games. And so, I have a little story here. One time I slept over at a friend's house, I think for his birthday, and we played lots of games. Basically, that's all we did. Because he didn't have any movies, all we had was his PS2, and so all we could do is play the whole library of games that he had. And at one point we started playing Call of Duty Big Red 1, which was one of my favorite video games. And we were playing it and playing it, and it was really hard, and it is a very challenging game. And at one point, he fell asleep, and I continued playing, but I couldn't continue really because we were playing on co-op mode, and so then I fell asleep and I never woke up. And even after like the 8 hours or so, or yeah, 8 hours of playing games, the next morning I woke up and he said, "Dude, you fell asleep on me. We were supposed to continue playing games all night. Like, we were gonna do this and that and continue playing games." And so he was like kind of weirded out by the fact that I fell asleep. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry." But that doesn't make him gay, by the way. That's stupid. And I think what they were trying to do was they were trying to do the least offensive gay reveal scene possible. So maybe they could have done something more risque or something more risky, but they didn't want to offend anybody. Because this movie already has enough offensiveness for these stupid SJWs. And so, yeah, I don't like this flashback at all. Then in present day, Richie grabs an arcade token, and again, it's confusing why Pennywise lets him do this, and why the stupid token is his token. I never realized that. The token is a token. The token gay character grabs a token from the theater, which is his token for the ritual. He's not a token gay character, but it kind of seemed like they were trying to make him one in the scene because he already had all this great character to him, and it was really like a huge reveal that he was gay, and so they really did a bad way of revealing it to us. I wish they would have written a smarter reveal, because I think that that's one of the best storylines in the movie, is that he secretly had a crush on his friend, and then we saw that he carved his and that friend's initials into the bridge, and that was a really touching moment. And that whole storyline was just kind of ruined by how badly written it was. And so then the stupid woodsman statue comes to life finally in a stupid CGI form and does a stupid jump scare and chases him around for a minute or two. Another eye-rolling moment. The next token scene, I think, is Eddie. He goes to the pharmacy and gets an inhaler, and then there's a dumb flashback where he has an awkward interaction with the creepy clerk and his daughter. Then in present day, as Eddie is about to leave, he hears something in the basement. Oh yeah, the inhaler is his token. Stupid. Very stupid. He goes in the basement and finds his mom is somehow bound and tied up on an operating table. Then the leper comes and attacks him, and it's a dumb jump scare moment. The leper screams in his face and doesn't attack him. He pukes on him while a pop song plays in the background. Very, very weird scene. Then Eddie runs away and lets his mom get, quote, killed in a hallucination. This is another epic failure of a sequence. There's some weird out-of-place comedy for some reason. There's no horror or suspense. The best part is the idea that Eddie wouldn't be willing to help someone so close to him. This idea is ultimately a failure because his mom is long dead and it's all a dumb hallucination. Excuse me. Sorry. You could have fooled us by having his wife come to Derry and make us think she's actually captured by Pennywise. But no, you gotta remind us more of the first It by using his mother who was in the first It. By the way, it's kind of sad the first It became so popular. The studios obviously took the wrong message from it, which is a common thread with these groundbreaking horror movies, like Scream. With Scream, I think there was an article that I read a year ago or whatever, but I remember it, that the studios, they took the message from Scream that horror movies are really for teenagers, and that they need to just start making horror movies PG-13 and make them really self-aware, and that's what they took from Scream. They didn't take the actual messages from Scream that were meant to be taken, and so that's why horror movies suffered so much in the early 2000s, is because studios don't know what they're doing, and they don't take the right messages. Here's another plot hole. Why is it that nobody outside Derry exists? Nobody's calling their families to tell them they're okay. The abusive wife isn't calling Eddie or following him to keep an eye on him. The abusive husband isn't coming to retrieve Beverly. At least in the original miniseries, you have Bill's wife as one of the main characters. Speaking of Bill, he gets the final token sequence. This whole scene I actually love. Stephen King's cameo is great. He really acts like someone who'd live in Derry if it were real. Also, it's great to see Bill ride the bike again and fail, reminding us it's not the 80s anymore. It's a colder, darker modern world. The only flaw is, yet again, Bill is given the token. And this time he's given it by Pennywise himself, by the way. I like that the boat still exists, and I love the twist where Bill turned out to be faking sick, making him feel guilt over Georgie dying. This new storyline is my favorite of the whole film. We then see Georgie 2.0 from the Chinese restaurant, and he discusses how he hears voices from the bath drain. Very creepy and cool. I have nothing bad to say about this sequence. Then we get a really dumb cliche moment where Ben is about to confess to Beverly he wrote the poem, and they're interrupted. That's a common thing. Two characters about to kiss, or there's a revelation, and then it's interrupted. Eddie is covered in puke and running to the bathroom. In the bathroom, Henry finally shows up in the plot just to stab Eddie in the cheek. Eddie then somehow hides in the shower curtains, even though Henry watches him do this. And he charges at Henry and stabs him back. This whole moment reminds me of when I played the Amazing Spider-Man 2 video game, and Green Goblin Jr. glitched to the side of the building while I just defeated him right there, without any trouble. Henry jumps out the window and leaves. Again, this whole sequence is dumb. Henry's character is pointless. He doesn't do anything to permanently cripple or affect the group. Then Bill figures out somehow he needs to go save Georgie 2.0 at the carnival. I can't remember how he figures this out, but he figures it out from a logical way. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Now we get the greatest sequence of the movie, arguably. The sequence that was shown in the trailer fully. Bill chases Georgie 2.0 in the funhouse, which leads to the Maze of Mirrors. I'd just like to point out this sequence isn't in the book. Go figure. Bill runs through the maze and falls and gets smashed into the glass, and it's very suspenseful. Then he finds Georgie 2.0. The kid is actually scared of Bill because he's been seeing him the whole day. Then Pennywise pops up on the other side. So Bill and Pennywise are scaring this kid at the same time, and he's trapped completely. They both try pounding through the glass, and you're on the edge of your seat until there's a stupid jump scare and lots of CGI blood from the kid. Then quick cut away. Yeah, that's right, we don't get any resolution to the sequence. This sequence feels heavily cut down and anticlimactic. The whole conflict and amazing storyline is ended within the matter of seconds. Mike is waiting for the losers in the library when Henry comes to attack him. They have a minor scuffle, and Henry is about to kill him when suddenly Richie saves him by stabbing him with a historical weapon. Mike gets up and they just leave and act like it didn't happen. There's no police, no discussion, nothing. In fact, it's turned into a big joke. And this is Henry's plan the whole time? Just run up to random losers and attack them? That's a weak plan. And that's just not good writing. Henry's storyline was random, useless, and a huge distraction from the main plot. Here's a better story idea. All of the tokens turn out to be hallucinations. This way, it makes sense Pennywise let the losers have them so easily, and it leaves them in a situation where they won't know what to do and how to defeat Pennywise. Overall, the second act is my least favorite part of the movie. It feels like a checklist of shitty modern horror sequences with tons of bad CGI, ineffective jump scares, and no stakes. So that's what I thought of It Chapter 2. Spoilers Part 2. I was really not a fan of this sequence. I thought that it was fun watching it because of how just goofy it was, and how fun it was. Like this would be a great movie to just watch if you're in a bad mood or if you're sick or something. But yeah, this sequence really shows the flaws of the movie. And again, I think the director and writer of this movie is talented because of the first one. And I think most of the problems in this movie came from the studio and the studio's interference. And I never even deemed that possible. I should have, and I should have known what was coming because It Chapter 1 was phenomenally successful, and Chapter 2, the studios, they just ruined it. They ruined it. They really did. They casted great for the most part, besides Jessica Chastain and the Ben guy, but everything else, just a lot of problems. But I like some of the stuff in the sequence. Again, the Bill sequence, and then the carnival sequence. That is some great stuff, and I wish that would have been the whole movie, a story about Bill and his guilt with his brother, and trying to save people in this town, and because it's also confusing, like what Pennywise's goal is. Pennywise, he in the whole movie, he's a very passive character towards the adults, but then towards the children, he is attacking them. And so it's really confusing because in the original it really felt like Pennywise killed a bunch of kids to get the adults' attention and then take revenge on the adults the rest of the movie. But in this movie it feels like with Halloween 2018, like the adults are just there randomly. Like the adults are there, he wanted them there, but they're just there. And Pennywise's true goal is to deal with these kids that he wants to eat. And so, just Pennywise's whole motivation and his whole story in this movie, it doesn't make sense. And so, yeah. I'm done talking about spoilers until part 3. Goodbye, everybody. I hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching. If you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to our channel and like this video and check out the other spoiler videos. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.